those citrus trees, you know, that never bears fruit, but makes you feel good by actually just trying it. It's not grave, no. It's a garden. Yeah, at least that's what I'm telling myself today. You know, I read somewhere once that gardening is good for the soul. It never actually said what to do if the soul was already compost. But you know, I thought I'd just give it a go. She said to me, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm planting something important." She said to me, she said, "Don't bury your dreams again." I said, "I'm not burying my dreams. I'm putting in a root system." She didn't laugh. She stopped laughing years ago. Do you know what? I used to think that I was meant for something big. You know the image, the dusty silhouette on the horizon, the man that walks into town and changes everything with nothing but a smirk and a past that nobody can quite place. Turns out I'm the guy that just got sunburned because he forgot his hat again. Been out here for 3 hours already. In that time I've planted one plastic duck, 2 regrets and a vague sense of optimism from 2009. They all fit. I measured it. Do you know what this is? That is 450 million years of geology. And that's a couple of dozen volunteers with shovels and a passion for a film. That's it. That's all it is. But if you stand here long enough, you stop actually asking, is that a real cemetery? And you start asking other questions. I had a dog once, named him Sheriff. He only had one eye, and he'd eaten part of a Rubik's Cube, and every time he barked it just popped out sideways. That's not true. He never ate a Rubik's Cube. I made that bit up. It's all a bit silly. No, everybody does that. Yeah. He did have one eye though, and he followed me everywhere, right up until the day that I lost him at a service station in Zaragoza. You know, I wasn't sad. I was jealous because he just left without having to explain himself. My wife wants me to go back inside. She says it's embarrassing. She says it's a little bit weird, a man in a cemetery on his own digging something that isn't quite a grave. I told her, look, it's just a metaphor. She told me to just dig faster. Look, I'm cultivating patience. I'm growing acceptance. It doesn't flower very often, but when it does, it's almost believable. Yeah! That's it there, look. It's the final scene. 3 men, 1 circle, barely any dialogue. Yeah. I used to think that scene encompassed everything. Life, purpose, fate, the whole human condition in 20 minutes. And a piece of music that does something to your chest that you just can't quite explain. Wow, 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 wow. Now I think it's just 3 tired men who are pretending that they haven't got lost. I've started to plant things that I'm not quite sure what to do with. Postcards, letters, unsent letters. The actual business plan from the Utah shooting range. The dust, it doesn't ask any questions. Some people think that I've lost it. Maybe I have. But do you know what the thing that they don't tell you? The thing that nobody mentions is that losing it, it feels so much lighter than carrying it around with you all the time. But this isn't a grave. No, it's a gesture. A quiet rehearsal of all the ways that I will not be remembered. Just give me a minute. Sometimes I imagine people walking past and asking me what I'm doing. And I say, I'm planting the man that I thought I was. And they just nod and carry on walking. Because do you know what? They're doing the same thing in their lives, only it's with their yoga, the baking of sourdough, and their pathetic lives on social media. Oh. This is it. This is the place. Leone stood here. Well, probably not here. I mean, the circle's over there. So Leone definitely stood over there, yeah? And he said, this is the place, trust me. I know how that feels, to have an absolute certainty of a vision that people just can't quite see yet. The difference between Leone and me is that Leone had Marconi and a much bigger budget. Look, if you see her, Sophia, tell her that it's just dirt. Actually, tell her that it's a piece of land with too much memory in it. And if you see Sergio Garcia, not Leone, tell him that I'm open to partnerships. Tulips, maybe? Or maybe dynamite? That's it. Thank you. Thanks for being my guinea pigs.